more because we got to jump into this next game, and they've gone for the Lucian once again. Lyric, JDG saying, look, it worked for us once, why not twice?
Look, it's not meta. They're going to pick the Nami here. Just let's bring back the Zoe. You know what I mean? Like, I have fond memories of 2020 Zoe with Yagao. Like, those were good. No Emperor's Divides needed. You hit the bubble. But
it was a little rough for Yagao. We actually mentioned it, funny enough, in that first game that Yagao hasn't been one of our premier Azir players. It's not like he's one of the guys that we always kind of go, oh yeah, that's synonymous with this guy, this champion. Yeah, we thought he earned it, and sadly, a little bit of rust in that last game. But look, it didn't matter. It didn't lead to anything exceptionally bad for them. They still won the game, and that's all you want here as JDG. But now we'll see what they want to go from here. So you've got your jungler locked in here for RA, but your top laner of the Udyr here for JDG. And yes, Flandre did very well on the Aatrox, but he probably turned around to his team and said, hey, that Udyr was a problem. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, I like that. I'm curious to see more specifically what JDG ban on for. You know, RA, you'd expect potentially another jungle ban to come out, and the jungle pool just feels so just wide open right now that there's so many things to come across, but you still have things like LeBlanc open if you wanted to get rid of another AD option. We've definitely seen the prio in terms of LeBlanc picks fall off quite heavily. It's still a champion we still see banned a little bit, so that one will be taken off the board. So now for RA, looks like they are just going to try and find a top laner, and again, just keep going into that bit of a, you know, neutralizing top laners that are able to come through. I do like the K'Sante a bit more than I would like the Aatrox, because we have seen plenty of times where Udyr's mess up, K'Sante connects the Q300 turret, and then suddenly Udyr died when he had no right to.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that we get into so many positions where the Udyr is trying to put pressure in, and rightfully so, get that Demolish proc off on the tower, get some stuff, and it just goes wrong. So get that K'Sante locked in, wasn't banned away. We'll see what JDG want to go for again. And I mean, this is still a good pick regardless of how you twist it. And I mean, it dealt with the Taliyah fairly all right. It wasn't the reason it dealt with Taliyah, but for Yagao, he's happy to take it. And you know what? A little bit more stage practice with it as well.
Yeah, now going to have the hover coming in for the Xin Zhao, and going to be some nice options. On the opposite side, we've been highlighting things like the Corki all day long into these year, but I wonder if Vicla plays like the Yone and would want to go into something more aggressive, especially with the options that JDG still have left. It'd kind of be where I'd want to see us go. Jarvan now locked in by JDG, a little bit surprising considering that I just mentioned both those two mid laners would both be very mobile and very easy to escape from a Jarvan Cataclysm. Akali, another one who obviously falls in the same boat. It seems like Kanavi still gonna have the confidence to pilot this anyway. It seems like they're saying to me that Assum is the primary threat on this Rare Atom roster.
Absolutely, and we've seen it in the last series as well for Weibo, where you get that Aphelios locked up, you get the AD carry kind of separated away, and it doesn't really matter then at that point what they're able to do. It doesn't really matter there's a Milios, it doesn't really matter that they're able to heal and shield so much. It just feels like you have so much more time to try and burst them down, and even things like following up with the bubble, the tidal wave, just pure and guaranteed AD CC going onto the AD carry is just so valuable. Alright though, they are not without their bag of tricks. This Akali could become very, very dangerous, and I don't think Vicla had a bad game that last game at all. So if he could pilot that just as well as he piloted Taliyah, I think they're in a good spot.
And I think he's going to be the key piece for Rare Atom to be able to find a win, right? Being able to constantly put pressure in fights, coming from angles, using that Shroud effectively. That's really going to just make the formation of JDG and teamfights kind of have to disperse. You're going to have all these awkward angles you're needing to mark, and will give way for the Aphelios to not feel as much pressure from things like the Jarvan.
Well, for Rare Atom, you really don't want to be starting off. Look, you can't really blame them if they go 0-2 and a 0-4 kind of setup of the series in terms of the games, but you want to try and put your best foot forward, at least take a game, try and build yourself up a little bit more confidence, because again, like we've talked about so much already, this is a fun roster. This is a roster that we can try and get behind and really see some positives from. It is just that mid to late game where things just don't really go that well, and I really hope that we start to see the likes of themselves, Ultra Prime, LGD, really start to clean that up as the season goes on. Come on, Lyric, I need you to help out the RA fans here. Gotta get the Jaios in.
We are in Beijing. We are in JDG
We are.
Stadium. It is JDG's first match back, so I think it makes complete sense. Another thing we actually haven't really talked about, because I'm never too big on talking about coaching changes, but JDG, of course, bringing in Mafa over from the LCK. He was Gen G's coach, just picked up like the last 3 LCK titles that Gen G won with that roster. Hell, he even worked with Ruler on Gen G in 2022. So at least bringing in a coach that I would assume Ruler thinks very highly of, and someone who has picked up a lot of accolades. And it seems like a very streamlined way in terms of how they think about the meta and draft coming in with I'd say 2 very conventional comps so far in our first 2 games.
Flandre just making sure he has full vision, so they know that the Maokai is not starting on the top side, but maybe Naiyou has a little bit of a movement up his sleeve. He should know that his brush is warded, so maybe he'll maybe get a little bit more creative, or he'll just walk over it and not care. We'll have to wait and see. But both teams now finally getting themselves into lanes, and we'll wait to see where they want to try and go for. And I mean, like, there's only so much we can kind of big up Ruler before it just becomes a broken record as such. But every time we watch this guy, he just impresses in so many ways, and it really does feel like there, even off of like years where he feels like he's playing his best League of Legends, it just gets better with this guy.
Yeah, he's very interesting to me because there were times last year where I felt like he didn't have to do very much on JDG roster. I think that was probably early spring. Is now, again, you have games like this or moments towards like later in summer 2023 where it really feels like he's stepping up to be the big playmaker and the big aggressor that JDG need.
Again, getting more damage onto Assum, and having a heal and a barrier burnt this early on is just so tough. And Assum actually not even level 2 yet. It was Zorah who got himself up to level 2 before that. So it's just difficult right now. You feel the confidence going from Ruler, and the fact that he knows, like, considering how that early game went in the last one, he has to step up. He needs to be the carry for his team until they find their feet.
And remember, like, he was even, despite, like, not finding all these heavy trades, he was even just building himself up experience through denying some minions, building up that experience lead, hitting level 6 first, having that culling available. So, like, a lot of small things that Ruler was doing that led to him being so relevant in Game 1. I like that we have Kanavi pathing down towards the side. Both junglers, of course, going towards opposite sides of the map, but hell, Kanavi going to be able to walk over, potentially get a ward down, put a lot of pressure on this rare Adam bottom lane.
Yeah, they know the Maokai's top side as well, so Kanavi goes for a full clear, ready to go for when the scuttle is spawned. And yeah, this is just a solid early game from JDG. I think that the big thing when you have got the Jarvan as well is that your clear speed comparatively to the Maokai is just going to be that bit faster. It's just going to be that 20-30 seconds ahead of the curve, especially when you're on when you're in Naiyou's position of trying to make sure you are skirting around vision.
Yeah, having to be conscious of that. Now going to be able to get the ward down, get the reset off. Since we weren't able to get any more heavy trades, and the heal and barrier came out, so assuming Zorah do have plenty of HP, you weren't able to try to like threaten to dive or zone them off tower. But still, Kanavi going to be able to get back on the map first with some items. Means that if any like little 3v3 skirmish does break out, that longsword, that Ruby Crystal could be the difference maker.
Yeah, just as we were talking about in the pre-game, the Udyr waiting out the Q3 from the Cassante is a key moment in that matchup, especially when you're trying to proxy farm like we are seeing here. Shouldn't be too hard for the top laners to just accept their fate. And again, this is just good information known from JDG's side that they are 100% expecting Maokai to be on that bot side because their jungler's on the top and they already swept in to check out all the camps.
Yeah, and again, good setup by them still. RA obviously not really falling behind other than losing those summoners, which are going to be coming back up now. So we're going to be in a bit of an even state. Hell, actually we can see now, right, Ruler going to be very slightly down from missing the few on that last wave. And just getting a bit of a trading out of objectives. Starting up, we'll see if RA are able to get down towards that dragon, or if it's going to be about getting more pressure in that bot lane 2v2. So far, hell, even JDG's vision control actually down towards that bot side is quite immaculate. They would know even if RA were able to go for any sort of dragon take.
I want to pick your brain a little bit as well. Yeah, it's going to happen, but I want to pick your brain a little bit as well, because obviously we see the Udyrs look for that split push. And I suppose the question I have is, why is there such kind of a push to try and get that split push? What advantage do you get from getting that, you know, like the wave cut off earlier or anything like that?
I think it just makes, like, puts the enemy top laner in such a tough position. You're clearing the enemy wave so much faster. It gives you tempo if you want to go for a reset, if you want to poke your head down into the enemy jungle, if Kanavi was going to start moving up, or even if it was still possible to make plays in mid as top laners. I gotta pause.
You do have to pause. Heal comes in, a flash into the twisted advance, and that's going to be missing going down. First blood going to RA, and there's no real escape for you there. Once you get hit by the point-and-click CC, you are getting stopped.
Yeah, wasn't able to come back out on the map fast enough to be able to take the Drake, but still gets down here first, able to find a gank, and now you'd expect the pivot to be coming through. They do need to be careful, as Yagao does have vision control and just honestly control over mid lane overall. Now that Vicla has 6, though, there is going to be some real kill pressure in this mid lane matchup.
As much as I think the Maokai would love to go for this, you can see Ruler just tanking up a storm here just to cover this wave. Might have to restore himself back up a little bit under the Nami's healing ebb and flow, but that wave will pretty much be fully eaten up by him. It's equal in that regard as well. And Vicla just accepting that he has got the push. Kanavi says, yep, there's not really a lot we can do. We're going to have to give up this first dragon. And there will be a pause. So we have a pause slightly at the moment. Hopefully it won't be too big of an issue, but already a tech pause. One of our, well, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say that because I'll jinx it and it'll be worse. But, you know, these things happen, and right now this is a good just kind of move from RA. I was a bit worried they wouldn't be able to go for the dragon because they were a bit slow rotating to it, but they got their waves in order and they're taking the objective.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought it potentially looked like they might not even be able to get it once we saw Naiyou pathing back towards topside out of spawn when Kanavi was doing the grubs. But with the fact that that kill opened up bot lane, it really did allow them to get this objective that potentially JDG should have been able to contest and maybe even been stronger in a skirmish had it happened, with the Lucian already starting to, you know, get some good items under his belt. Jarvan feels like he's going to be able to provide a little bit more right now in terms of the burst that he's bringing. But that kill bot opening up a lot, and that really coming down from the CC that Assum was able to land with that gravitum.
Yeah, it does seem to be a audio issue on the side of missing. You can always kind of tell. This is not official information whatsoever, but it's always, you can kind of tell based on who's talking, because the rule is when you go into a pause like this, you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to discuss things. You're not allowed to kind of come up with game plans. You have to just kind of sit there and wait. Endlessly frustrating, I imagine, to teams who are right in the moment.
I remember it was one of the games back when I was coaching in CBLOL that there was like a 30 to 45 minute pause. No one can talk on stage. It was just, it's just so hard, you know, for the mentality of your players, for both teams too. You're like, God, what do we do? You almost like lose like the momentum and I mean, you definitely lose the focus of what was going on in the game. Like,
for sure.
But we don't expect that to happen here.
Absolutely. I mean, look, if there's ever going to be a pause, I'm happy to see it when there's literally nothing happening. No one was near the Dragon Pit. No one was looking for a contest. It wasn't like Kanavi was up at the side of the pit waiting to jump in, flash out, or anything like that. Yeah, so looks like whatever was the issue has been sorted, and we are jumping straight back into the game. Thank you for bearing with us while we went for a little bit of a pause, but again, always good to see it. And again, Flandre, like you said, just having that priority and going for that split push again, you know, as you said earlier, just having that priority to be able to keep that pressure on, get those early resets, and also every now and again it forces it forces Xiaoxu to play further up in the lane.
Exactly, right? There's just a lot of benefits. We're gonna see RA having a good understanding of what you do in this meta. You go bot, you cover your bot lane, you pressure bot. Doesn't look like he'll be able to
Yagao, though.
Ooh, maybe.
Yagao is looking to be here, and they're looking to fully kind of make this one work. Ruler going to get the cleanse, but they do still hit missing. And that's not what you want to be seeing right now. There's the Emperor's Divide. They will trade it back a 1-for-1, and that goes over to the exact person you want that gold on in Ruler.
Still, the fact that Assum was able to pick up, you know, the kill on Aphelios, I mean, just kind of being evened out a little bit. Even going to be able to continue to put pressure down, but we see Ruler with the blue buff. That'll definitely be feeling nice, especially if you're Lucian, just being able to spam those spells. Resets now going to be coming out across the board for both bot laners. And, you know, since we've had like a bit of early skirmishing already, we had, you know, Grubs, Drake, all uncontested. Really no objectives to play around, but we'll see in the replay here. It feels like the big difference maker is, I mean, they're alone. RA knew the Jarvan was topside. They have the amount of burst to take down the Nami, but Yagao, great job being able to match the Akali, and then the Empress Divide just straight up deleting Naiyou. It seemed like he would have been dead no matter what, unless Yagao just outright didn't follow the roam.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. But I was going to give a little bit of schmack to missing there, but I think the hitbox on one of those cats was a little bit larger than probably anticipated. As we can see now, another kind of turret plate going over. And again, this is why we've seen this matchup, is why we see the Udyr over the K'Sante so much, is that it does feel like you just get a bit more gold early, you get your item first, and yes, it's a mitigating lane matchup, and then K'Sante is still K'Sante later on, but having that Udyr to get ahead in the early stages can lead to a significant boon in your chances of winning.
And I mean, right, just always having like a guaranteed lane of prio can do so much in terms of like what your team can do on the map or what options a jungler has. Obviously, the benefits of K'Sante outweigh later on in terms of the impact he can have in a team fight. But hell, we can even see the benefits of Flandre's prio right here. So where Kanavi, once again, just going to be able to pick up the rest of these grubs. And Flandre going to be someone who's really able to use all those mites hitting turrets. But that might not matter if, once again, missing a ruler go down.
Nice dash by Ruler to make sure there was no follow-up to happen, and now they know the Maokai is on bot side. He's going to try and maybe make something work here, but yeah, like, I mean, this is just good from, I would say, JDG's point of prio. They recognize we have mid lane and top lane prio. We know that we're going to be good for this, and they get all 6 grubs. This is going to be great for just constantly harassing up on that top side, get that turret down as quick as you possibly can. And Naiyou, he's looking for something here onto Vicla, but Vicla was in a bit of a false sense of security. They did not know that Kanavi was sitting there in the wings, and they just got punished hard.
No, didn't even have time to you know, react, do anything else. When Empress Divide came out, the burst between them was enough. And now this is where we're going to really see the Void Grubs come into play. Sadly, no wave to keep this push going. But Yagao going to play far forward, going to use them. And in my mind now, as Kanavi, it's like, I really just want to see him kind of shadowing around Ruler and missing. There's going to be a whole ton to do top until that Riptail comes up. Like, sure, that is where your camps are right now, so if he wants to go up, pick up his wolves, pick his Gromp. But then it's like, we've seen Naiyou just live in this bottom lane, trying to make their life hard. But we're going to see here, Vicla trying to keep up an HP, right? You're trying to match these trades as the Akali when you can, but that just gives the angle for Yagao to go for the Empress Divide. Like you said, didn't even know the Jarvan was there.
See a little skirmish in the bot side, seeing if they could get anything there. And it's coming out to about a 1,500 gold lead now for JDG. Dragon spawning in 35 seconds. We'll see if they want to try and go for it. Still waiting on the Maokai ultimate to get something there, but other than that, I think both sides are going to be pretty happy to maybe go for a full 5v5. This could be our full big skirmish now as we start to get first items completed for the solo laners, and even actually the AD carry of Rare Adam with that Kraken Slayer.
Yeah, Assum going to be able to pick that one up. Rocket Belt in the mid lane. So now getting some more tools to be a bit more proactive. I think it'd be a real difference maker if Vicla was able to find an opportunity where he can actually commit to going bot lane. We've only seen it once, and that one time Yagao was able to just effectively follow. This is what we're just hitting on, right? Kanavi kind of saying, hey, screw my top side, be around bot, Dragon's up, make sure you get this prio. It looks like Flandre might even just run down to join in. There's no teleport on either top laner.
Yeah, they will have the K'Sante as well. Xiaoxu is trying to match, but he is going to go in and they immediately engage. There's the Cataclysm, the barrier, the heal, and it's just so hard to hit him, so hard to kill him. It doesn't even look like they did any damage. Vicla tries to go in and make a bit of a move here onto the jungler of JDG and has to perfectly execute himself out. That roam you talked about from Flandre, he's a little bit earlier than the side of Xiaoxu, but JDG, they're not quite able to make everything work there. They did burn quite a lot in terms of the summoners of RA, but they didn't get any of the kills.
Yeah, and you could see that Ruler so desperately wanted to follow, but was like a half second off. A lot of ults and flashes burned, like you said. We might still get a fight.
We might still get one. No perfect execution for Vicla, but it is ticking down fairly quickly. About 2/3 of it left to go. So JDG know they can't just lose anybody here, and they don't want to lose the stacking of the Dragon right now. But I feel like, yeah, they're just going to have to accept it's gone. They don't have priority. Just keep pushing in bot side and get a reset in.
Yeah, nice job trying to react to Yagao, who had just TP'd to the top lane. But had Ruler been able to follow up and get on top of Assum, that would have been like such a different fight. But Nature's Grass came out, tried to go forward, and then both teams just dealing with the other one's jungler. Vicla really being the one to put some pressure on Yagao there, and then once he got in the rest of the fight, right, there's no way Kanavi can even try to enter back into that pit.
And Assum now kind of building up a 20 CS lead here on the Aphelios. Still has those 2 kills, very much accelerated to a point where he's going to become a big, big issue for the side of JDG if he's not dealt with. But you saw there, Cataclysm, full engage, it just didn't really matter because with a barrier, a heal, you know, hugs and campfires and all, the power of friendship was just too strong.
It was also just really only Kanavi getting any meaningful damage down. Like Naiyou did a good job at zoning away the other 2 bot lane members. Missing tried to throw out the ult to find a bit more impact, but I don't even think that connected onto the Aphelios. But even if it did, I mean, it'd only be Jarvan who can find the connection now. Rift Herald on the board. Bubble.
Oh, okay. Bubble and Tidal Wave. It was equaled out by the ult as well. They're not going to get a full move here from Xiaoxu, and I don't know if he fully comes out of this one with a win. Does miss the Q3. Enough damage and threat onto the Udyr that he's going to have to try and back himself away. Flandre will live another day, but similar to our last series in game number 2, things are getting a little bit testy, a little bit tentative. I think people are starting to get frustrated a little bit more, waiting to try and make sure things work, make sure they're trying to make things happen for their own side in their own time.
At least RA having first move up into that top side river are going to try to be the ones to turn this into a Herald. I'm curious to see if JDG want to respond, but no. Actually, RA not feeling confident. I get it. No Nature's Grass. That's been the real thing that'll like keep people like Ruler at bay from being able to find the Aphelios in these team fights. And it's still kind of a tragedy that you weren't able to burn that flash in that kerfuffle around bot lane. That's what we'll call it. No kills.
You're right. No harm, no foul. It was a kerfuffle, and we won't talk about it again. I mean, yeah, they don't want anything to do with this. They're just happy to let this one go. The rest of JDG are fully in position to take this. It feels weird that if you're giving up that much prio, that you would then rotate Xiaoxu up towards that mid lane anyway. It doesn't feel like that's the kind of correct call. You know you're not contesting for it. As I say that, you're going to try and maybe go fully onto this. The Q3 does miss, the Moonlight Vigil does a bit of damage, but everyone's just kind of turning it back. Again, another kerfuffle, nobody going down. This time though, Ruler without flash and cleanse.
Exactly, that was completely worth. But like you're saying, I mean, had JDG just kind of been waiting to catch the wave there as a 3 to 4 man unit, right? Because Kanavi wasn't exactly there, but he was waiting in the wings. None of that would have been able to come to fruition. It would have just been both top laners kind of spending some time moving up. But JDG do give a bit of an opening trying to get that trade down. And now it means in a minute 44, when we're going to be back around Dragon, which you know JDG will probably want to fight, because if he's sole point for RA, Ruler's going to be a sitting duck.
Yeah, and Vicla, he's already used the Shroud. He does not have flash, but can they get the Emperor's Divide to get him? They're not going to fully commit underneath the tower. I think they were just a little bit unsure as to where the Maokai was, and they didn't want to risk it.
I'm not going to look for that one. Do still have that, and they're going to be able to push. And again, we need to remember that they do have those buffs from the grubs that they were able to pick up. And now Ruler missing. Hovering in the area just to make sure anything happens. Wait!
Wait! What? What?
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
There's no way!
He's laughing. Look at him. Look at him. He's laughing. I saw him laughing, but... Oh my God, Yagao. I praised you, brother. I was saying you're not getting your dues. You're a top tier mid laner in the LPL.
Look. If you look at his career holistically, he is underrated. But my God, what is going on today? I cannot say this. I cannot say he's underrated. What's happening?
Brother, please defend yourself, please. I'm begging you. See, look, no, don't do this. This isn't fair to him. What happened?
No.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Well, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't actually matter, but it's just very funny.
It's like so like blatantly not on purpose too. It's not even one of the ones like, yeah, you know, faster recall, haha.
Yeah, it's he just completely messed up the combo and just could not get away.
Ooh. Oh, TP mid.
We are TPing mid. They're gonna try and make sure they can get a contest on this, but they have already dropped the Rift Herald. This dragon is gone. Nothing to be done about it, but the mid lane turret has been taken. Do they want to go for anything else? Remember, they have Rift Herald and they have some Void Grubs, and they're gonna look for a second charge. Flandre playing bouncer. Vicla off to the top left of your screen, looking for a little bit more. They messed the charge up just a little bit, and now they're looking for a little bit more damage. There's going to be the flank coming in. All 5 members here, and all 10 are going in for the fight. Good tidal wave to try and separate this one away. Vicla looking for a little bit more. The Emperor's Divide not going to be enough to save Ruler, and they will all back away. Ruler has gone down. Nobody really going for this. Shurima Legacy coming in. Vicla looking for a little bit more, but I don't know if that's the right call. Yeah, you don't really have the support of your team. Now he's on the run. Now he's looking for a way out of this. A flash forward to catch out Vicla, and this time Yagao gets the combination. They will pick up 2 kills for 1, or excuse me, 1 for 1, and they'll get the tower as well.
I mean, ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. JDG get a bit of a you know, gold value trade, considering that they were able to break down a turn in mid, but RA are on sole point now. RA are completely fine with that, and honestly, a bit of a strange choice by JDG. I get it, right? They already have Drake. You want to go for the typical, all right, you're there, we're going to push mid. But they were so late coming to mid. Look at the position RA have on the map. Akali one side, you have Maokai with Nature's Grass coming from behind, and the rest of your forces coming from the left hand. So they are just so funneled in. It's so easy for them to go down. Naiyou's doing a great job at locking up the Lucian, and then the Q3 from Cassante pushing him back. And sadly, once again, the Empress Divide not able to do much. I am a bit surprised Vicla went in to follow this up, but like you, I actually didn't know if he'd be able to go down with Yagao not really looking like he was close here, but this last plant hit was the difference maker.
It was indeed. Yagao redeeming a little bit of himself there just to make sure, but yeah, now it's sole point though for RA. Last game it was JDG able to pick that one up for themselves, being able to build themselves a lot more of a kind of mid-game advantage with that. Now you're looking at a mountain sole point here for RA. They'll have that available to them should they want it in 2 minutes 45 seconds. But not only that, this is the thing with the mountain soul or any kind of soul point this early, you then build yourself such a great kind of buffer. You can go for that dragon, you can go for the Baron, you can take a turret down mid lane, you can just decide you don't need to go for it, and it buys you that little bit more time.
Exactly. I feel like that's the big thing that's always just so nice about early Soul Point 2 is it just opens you up choices to where the enemy team really does, and it's like, you know, you can't really threaten to go, oh, hey, we're going over to Baron. It's like, all right, you go take this buff. It's going to last you a little bit. We will get something like the Mountain Soul, which is just going to provide so crucial on so many of RA's members, too. Like, you're going to have such a hard time killing Xiaoxu the longer this goes. To where, look at Assum and his build on the Aphelios. Like, already to the point where he's going to be able to do some meaningful damage to people like Flandre or Kanavi.
Absolutely. Now JDG, though, they're thinking of something right now. Maybe just clearing out a little bit of vision for the moment. Naiyou with a full whack of the culling right to his face, and gets a little bit of a massage there from Lucian. Not looking too exceptional with the damage just yet. Xiaoxu is going to look for a little bit of a move backwards here. Again, you still have to respect, you haven't got the Mountain Soul just yet. You've got individual ones that will do a lot of damage, and that Lucian still hurts a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely still going to have to respect that. Still, it's going to be hard to be able to find an avenue in. They do have a 3K gold lead, but it really doesn't look like it's been too meaningful in fights. It's surprising that we kind of built up this Akali as the one having to be a bit of a difference maker. Really hasn't been about that, right? It's been about people like Xiaoxu or Naiyou providing the zone control and just providing the space for the Aphelios to free hit. So I can only imagine if the Akali could find a good angle, how much harder these fights could potentially become for JDG.
Well, 45 seconds till that dragon spawns. You can see JDG this time around will have to gain some early vision control around it. Lots of standing gold still available to the side of RA should they take it, but Assum panic ulting there. You got to feel like, and that's just dragon gone. He's not going to have his flash. He's not going to have his ultimate. You can't fight this anymore.
Yeah, but I guess, right, that's their luxury being on Soul Point at least.
Oh, they were pinging Baron there for a second. I thought they maybe go for something, but...
That would have been so crazy. Like, there's no way they wouldn't have given up Dragon if they went for that. So, seems like they've smartened up. They've come to their senses. JDG are done trolling.
I hope. I hope. I don't know. Yagao can sometimes be your goat, and sometimes I don't know what to call him. So it's just an interesting one. But now you have to be able to cover this one as well. So you can see RA using this as an opportunity to gain vision control back around the Baron. And Ruler is starting to hurt against some of these. I mean, that wasn't even a squishy target. That was just Naiyou, who only has like a little bit. Honestly, he's got a lot of magic resistance, but not a lot of armor. So you can see that already starting to hurt into him.
Just imagine that scenario if they had any vision down towards the bot side and knew that that was only Lucian and Nami there. That would have been a flash-twisted advance from the Maokai, and it would have been rough. Like, summoners would have had to be burned. But that didn't happen. Now we have a mini army of mites. Yeah, a mini army of mites just laying waste to RA's base.
Yeah, Naiyou looking for a move, but JDG, they recognize it. And I do feel like Vicla's not the person who needs to be in the side lane right now dealing with Flandre. I feel like that needs to be K'Sante and K'Sante alone, because the threat outside of that's not really going to be there. There's TP coming in. Vicla finally joining in with his team. Now they're going to get TP in from Flandre. All 5 members here. Both TPs burn. Nobody going to go down. Nobody going to pull any triggers just yet.
RA paying a lot of respect, right? There was a small window there where they could have had at least a bit of a numbers advantage. Your Akali had a pretty solid angle. But I guess with the rest funneled through jungle, they didn't feel confident going for it.
But again, this is exactly what happened in game number 1. JDG just picked up the pace, picked up the tempo, and then felt like RA were just playing reactively. They weren't proactively looking for anything. They were trying to just keep pace with what JDG were pulling in.
It's like such a strange game, right? Because RA have felt like any time we have a face-off, are kind of in the driver's seat. Like, JDG have made some missteps, RA have come out on top. They're on sole point. But RA also have not taken a single turret this game. Which is where that, that big gold lead from JDG is coming through. And we constantly see JDG at least conscious of like, hey, we do have those Void Grubs from earlier. We have the mites that we can use now. And anytime there's a chance to pivot to pressuring a turret on sides, they've been taking it.
They've been taking it. They've been trying. But yeah, like you said, 4,500 gold lead still in favor of JDG. You do feel like that's that standing gold. They've been able to pick up, 4 turrets to none. Now the Dragon now for 3 minutes, and Baron just really isn't on the cards for the side of RA unless they fully commit Assum to it. Their Baron taking ability is pretty woeful without him. It's pretty great with him, but it does mean you have to put him into a bit of a choke. And not without his flash for the next still little while, it's just not really an option for them to go for it.
No, and it seems like they're fine still just trying to get to their next break points. Of course, we did already get the Storm Surge built by Vicla right before his last TP, so a bit more damage going to be coming out there. We have the Aphelios making his way to the next one as well, but like you said, every time we've seen Ruler go forward with the Storm Razor Rapid Fire, he has still just been hitting like a truck, especially once again, kind of having that cheap bit of Bloodsong damage that comes from it, right? Another kind of like item, half item, kind of depending on what you consider it. And I'm scared if anyone on RA missteps, but RA have been playing so safe, so controlled, like they are not giving any opportunities.
They're not, but they are still falling behind in gold. You can see it little by little, bit by bit. It's like every 30, 40 seconds, it's up by another 500. It's another 500. You're falling behind. And it's the same constant criticism we have of this team, from a lot of different setups. They need to be able to be proactive, sitting there and waiting for JDG to make a mistake against players of this caliber, against players of this, kind of veterancy. It's not really going to happen that often. You have to take your advantages when you have them. And unfortunately for them, they're slowly losing them. A minute 20 until the next Dragon fight, and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but the Lucian's now on 3 items. This is going to be so tough for Vicla to navigate.
Yeah, and I mean, he hasn't even been able to find any side lane pressure, right? We've seen Yagao pushed up aggressively on a side lane. We have not seen the Akali able to do it once. I mean, hell, that's why Yagao is up in CS. So it really feels like the Akali pick so far falling flat. Game's not over. Still a chance to find that one big impactful play onto the back line. But with JDG just constantly pushing waves in your face, the opportunity hasn't come yet.
Just one double tap and Naiyou lose about a fifth of his HP. And yeah, I mean, 40 seconds till Dragon. It's still a while till it comes up, but you have zero idea what's going on. You can't just walk forward like this. You have to have Xiaoxu and, of course, Naiyou walk forward. But even then, Naiyou, he's not really in a great position. And yes, he could be healed, he can be shielded, but you don't really want to be using those cooldowns from Zorah right before you need them potentially for Assum.
No, you really can't be wasting them. I wonder if RA are even going to look to contest this Drake. Oh, might not even have a chance. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Naiyou has to go back. He's not going to be able to contest this. They're going to try and maybe get a position over the Baron, and then you can see that, all right, they're immediately saying they can't go for it, but Naiyou, he's already been targeted, and they have to use everything to keep him alive. Tidal Wave is good, and he's still backing himself away. A TP in from Flandre. But yeah, I mean, like, you've used so much there now. You've used the Moonlight Vigil, you've used the Milio ult, and of course the Maokai one as well. I don't know how RA are going to be able to defend this.
Yeah, I will say, at least you still do have Xiaoxu and Vicla's, to where on the side of JDG, you really only have the Emperor's Divide, but still, not feeling confident in walking in and just taking a direct confrontation. Makes sense, 5k gold lead, we're seeing meaningful item advantages now on JDG, and a lot of that coming from RA not pushing those like skirmish wins, those favorable skirmishes they were finding earlier into, you know, taking away jungle camps, or being able to impact sides, or anything of that nature.
And, you know, one dragon, fine. 2 mountain dragons stacked up, okay, now you're getting risky. If you get up to 3 or 4, if the game goes that long, like, how do you kill this Udyr? The only one who'll be able to do it will be Assum. And I don't know if that, again, if your AD carry is hitting on the tank, it's probably not the most ideal target to be hitting either. So this is getting harder. This is getting more difficult the longer this game goes on, despite, you know, the Aphelios scaling.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, it feels like with how much RA are giving up, they are just kind of saying, hey, we are willing to just let our Aphelios and Akali get as many items as they can and kind of bet this game on one big fight, which, right, with the champions they have, definitely will be winnable. Again, the only thing will be the damage that's coming through. We've already seen Ruler, like you said, kind of ease forward, has the double tap, and a lot of times that's Naiyou's HP, like, you know, 40% dwindled. Yeah.
Just one combo from Ruler just absolutely smashes through him, and we get a little bit of shielding here. I will say with the... Oh, caught myself there a little bit, but with the AP magic damage shields on Xiaoxu, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where his health bar is sometimes, especially when someone like Ruler is just kind of peppering him down with some shots, pew pew. And we'll see what they can go for right now. But again, look at Naiyou just melting in front of him. Nothing can really do. Flandre just kind of playing, honestly, just keep away and annoyance just to make sure that they can't really back themselves up into a fight. So this is just JDG suffocating, slowly putting their foot down on the throat of RA. And RA have nothing to do about it. They can't do anything about it.
I'm so happy JDG are forcing a Baron. Let's get a Baron, or let's get a fight, JDG.
A bit of both, all right, you have to fight here. You can't let this one go. You're going to have to try something. And Naiyou's going to try and move forward, but he just can't make it happen. There's going to be a good tidal wave cataclysm down onto Xiaoxu. Not the ideal target now. The rest of JDG want to try and back away. They eat up a little bit of CC. Moonlight Vigil going completely wide. And that is Baron for JDG. RA, they just need to commit. I feel like they're so close. If they just try something, they should be able to do it, but not quite able to make it happen.
And this really feels like the big distinction between like some of the teams you expect to be at the top of the table as compared to like our mid and lower tier, or at least previous year's lower tier teams, right? Is that like, hey, RA this whole game, like early to mid game, was contending, getting up in dragons, coming out ahead in skirmishes, but then you see like the hesitancy, the indecision, how scared they get, not really understanding how to play through some of these choke points. We talked about how a lot of times it felt like Vicla was haphazardly leaving sides while Yagao on the Azir was, you know, willing to push forward, be aggressive, getting up in CS. Just a lot of small things in the mid game that lead to this dominant gold lead.
Just slowly but surely just not, again, I've said it for many, many years now in many, many games, indecision is a decision upon itself. You can't just sit there and wait for things to go right. You can't just sit there and wait for things to, you know, happen or to go wrong, and especially with some of our top teams. And if you're just sitting there waiting, hoping and praying that something will happen for you, it's just not going to. And we're seeing it right here. JDG just slowly and surely making sure they dot their I's, cross their T's. Like, how you can't defend this tower, it's gone. They just had two cannons at it, and Ruler's just fearless. He doesn't have to fear anything or anyone.
No, he's just gonna be able to go forward. I mean, especially now, right? Those items, he is huge. And now for JDG, if they can go forward and close this out here, you know, we'll even get to make it to the next series on time. I'll get to eat the fruit cup that I've been saving for between series 2 and 3. So if JDG do win, I hope they do it fast. But if, you know, if they don't, then let RA come back with some big banging team fight, you know what I mean? But, you know, JDG, like, my fruit cup is waiting.
Yeah. Man's fruit cup is waiting to happen. We need to make sure that that happens while in the break coming into our final series, which is OMG versus LNG back in Suzhou. We're in 3 different venues today. Vicla, he's trying to get away from this one now. Walks straight into Flandre and just realizes, yep, I've lost 2/3 of my health bar, and I need to walk away. They can't defend this again without Vicla's threat. With one person losing a little bit of HP, they can't do anything about it. Naiyou taking more TP. Again, TP coming in. This is it. This is your final chance. You have to make something work here, but I don't think you have an opportunity to.
Like, Vicla TP's in, runs forward a little bit, immediately Shuriken flips backwards. I mean, at this point, right? At this point, it is just too scary. I mean, 10k gold lead for JDG. We see that in the items. But it just kind of feels like more had to be done earlier. And again, I really feel like it did kind of have to come from Vicla. Maybe it's going to take more time for him to get comfortable, find an identity in the LPL, you know, RA in general, just kind of build up into a team that can work together. But yeah, it definitely has been a struggle so far in their first 2 series.
And look, I'm not one to normally give out when we're having a game and things are kind of working in a particular way, but 6 kills in 35 minutes is not what I want from my LPL teams. And I mean, it comes from both sides. It's JDG realizing they don't have to go for crazy fights, and it's RA not willing to go for crazy fights, and it's just leading to a very slow, laborious win that I feel like is all but finalized here for JDG. I really feel, unless we have a massive mistake coming out from JDG, and multiple probably at that in a row, this is just going to be their win. RA don't really have much to kind of turn back from this. Yeah,
it's going to be incredibly hard. Like, JDG is still respecting that RA can, like, one overstep. They have the damage at the very least, and they have the CC.
I mean, they're going for something, but Vicla is going to be on the flank here. They're going to see exactly where he is. Ruler is just ignoring him for now. He knows he's been spotted out, and Vicla is just too scared. And I can't blame him. He'll just be annihilated as soon as he tries to go in. There's so much CC, so much displacement. He wouldn't even be able to get into a shroud before he was dead. So this is just a slow burn. And this is going to be a 3rd inhibitor coming in. But yeah, look, you try to go for something, and it just doesn't work.
Supers are even hitting the base right now, so JDG have the minions doing the work for them.
Yeah, look, work smarter, not harder, and get the workers to do something for you. This is going to be the 3rd inhibitor going down. The Nexus is down to 1 turret, and this has been a slow, methodical, absolute beatdown of RA. JDG, they have a little bit of work to do in the early games, and definitely Yagao needs to work on his Azir shuffles, but there's just not really a lot else to say about this series. RA started brightly and shone a bit too quickly. They burnt their wick way too fast, and yeah, great little knockback. They're trying to go for something. Vicla, it's too late. I'm sorry, there's just not enough damage for you, and there's just not enough commitment to try and make this one work. They will take down Ruler. They're actually turning this one around. Assum's still huge. Yagao just needs to walk away from this one here. Maybe I lied. Maybe they have it. Maybe Assum's going for everything. He needs to try and take down Flandre, but it won't be enough. But I mean, Lyric, I get excited, but look at the base. Look at the map.
I was like you might have been wrong about in context of the fight, but what I want to say is, like, why did it have to come right when we're at the Nexus? You know what I mean? Vicla, all right, we could have done this a little bit earlier, but they do still hold on. You know, we see Aphelios big, strong. Aphelios damage. But now RA maybe can have some confidence to go forward. Because look, Xiaoxu is incredibly tanky. He is eating that Lucian's damage just fine. Naiyou might be someone who's locked in the Cataclysm and going down. But still, once you buy some space for this Aphelios to walk forward, and we're going to see it especially once Vicla starts to be an annoyance right here, that's really when Assum's going to start feeling comfortable to just start popping off. He already got Ruler to half HP. That's looking good. And again, Xiaoxu just an absolute menace on this Cassante.
And I will say, fair play to Assum. He saw an opportunity to catch on to the Lucian, took it, both hands, and he has about 140 CS lead over his opponent. So you know what? Not many people can say they can end a game with more than 140 CS above Ruler. But this Baron is getting melted right now, and I feel like this is just going to be the final thing. This has been a 40-minute game. What is this lyric? This is not my LPL.
I mean, I don't think we're at the levels of LGD the other day in terms of game time, right?
We're not. We're not far off it. No.
God, this Aphelios is huge now.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it as a full item Aphelios. So Flandre, even with the 3 Mountain Drakes, is still going to be melted fairly quickly. Target selection is going to be important. Baron has been secured, but can you end the game? That's the question. Now all of a sudden, JDG, they're thinking about stuff. They will have pressure onto Zorah. Another inhibitor will go down, but one spawned after it. So now, what can you do? There's still some decent damage, and you just have to play bouncer here as Kanavi and Flandre.
I mean, yeah, this was going to be okay. Now he's trying to find an angle. Ruler is hitting the Nexus a little bit.
Moonlight Vigil goes wide, and eventually, surely, slowly, people will start to fall. Assum steps forward, but because he did that, that is his death. Vicla goes golden to try and keep himself alive, but only to delay the inevitable. And finally, after 40 minutes, JDG will get their 2-0, and we will be finished our second series of the day.
I'm going to say it for all of us. That was a frustrating game. That was a frustrating game to watch, Oisin.
That was.
From both sides, a lot of frustrations there. JDG managed to win out, but I definitely think a much sloppier JDG than I expected. But let's give kudos to the one person who I want to give kudos to. Flandre, after taking a year off, comes back and gets a win. We love when Flandre gets stubs after 1 year off.
Absolutely, and look, for Yagao, if you can play like that in game 1 and 2 on Azir and still come out with a win, we'll take those and bow to the crowd, get themselves back out and stuff. But